The calm before manifestation is not the universe ghosting you. It is your nervous system quietly tearing down an old identity so it can hold what you asked for. You think nothing is happening because your external reality looks exactly the same. But internally, circuits are being rewired and prediction patterns are being broken. Your mind calls it stuck. Your body experiences it as flatness or boredom. And you are tempted to poke the process just to feel something again. That is the moment you usually self-sabotage the manifestation you already triggered. You start changing methods, checking signs, pulling cards, asking for reassurance, scrolling for new techniques, adding more scripting, more meditations, more crystals. You mistake silence for absence, when in this phase, silence is actually proof that the system is finally processing. And every time you touch it, you force your nervous system to start recalculating from zero. Let's break down what your nervous system is actually doing. When you set a clear intention, you're not sending a wish to the sky. You are issuing a new prediction to your own brain about who you are allowed to be. The first reaction is not magic. It is friction. Your old identity has thousands of repetitions that say, "We are this kind of person, with this kind of income, this kind of relationship, this level of safety." The new intention is a threat to that internal map, even when it is positive. The calm that arrives after the initial excitement is the moment your nervous system stops arguing and starts recalibrating. You feel less emotion, not because nothing is happening, but because the brain is reducing beta wave noise so it can reorganize the pattern. This is why many people report feeling numb or weirdly neutral right before something big shifts. The neural stabilization framework calls this the predictable phase your nervous system moves through during identity change. You are not losing the manifestation. You are losing the version of you that could not hold it. Think of your brain like a prediction machine. Every second it runs millions of micro-forecasts. How people respond to you, how much money usually comes in, what level of love feels familiar, how safe it is to be seen. When you decide, "I am now the person who earns this amount, who is loved this way, who is respected like this," you are introducing prediction error. The system now has two conflicting timelines, the old familiar pattern and the new chosen pattern. The calm before manifestation is the gap between these two timelines where the system pauses overt action and begins reorganizing the neural connections so that the new prediction can feel normal. On the surface, you may notice simple things. You stop obsessively visualizing. Your affirmations feel dull. You don't get the same emotional rush thinking about your desire. Inside, synaptic weights are being adjusted, old emotional tags are being removed, and your threat detection circuits are slowly labeling this new reality as safe enough. This is why in this phase, the most dangerous thing you can do is chase sensations. Your nervous system is deliberately lowering stimulation so it can update its model. If you interpret that as nothing is working and start seeking more intensity, you add noise to a system that is trying to settle. Emotionally, it shows up as you poking the wound to check if it still hurts, reopening conversations, restocking profiles, recalculating numbers. Neurologically, every time you do that, you send a spike of prediction error that says, "We are not safe. We need certainty. We cannot let this integrate yet." The framework sees this as self-sabotage disguised as logic. You think you are just checking, just being realistic, just making sure. But you are actually interrupting the stabilization process. Have you noticed this silence lately? No drama, no big signs, no fireworks, just your life looking almost the same, but your reactions feeling slightly different. Maybe you don't spiral as hard when the bill arrives. You don't chase as fast when someone pulls away. You don't collapse when the scale doesn't move. That flatness is not a lack of manifestation. It is the nervous system testing. Can we hold this without flooding? Can we exist without the old panic? In neuroscience language, this is identity remapping. Networks that used to light up with I am the one who loses. I am the one who is abandoned. I am the one who struggles, are slowly being overwritten with quieter, more regulated patterns. Less adrenaline, less cortisol, more space between stimulus and response. On the outside, this looks boring. On the inside, this is the seed of a completely different reality. The observer effect gives you a useful metaphor here. In quantum experiments, the act of constantly checking a particle collapses its potential into one state. When you are in the calm, every time you obsessively observe your results, you collapse back into the old identity, because that is where your nervous system still knows how to feel something. When you stop measuring every small fluctuation, you allow the new configuration to stabilize. This is why the framework emphasizes: stop reacting, stop measuring every hour. Let the reorganization complete. The calm before manifestation is not the universe testing you. It is your body learning that it does not need a crisis to feel alive. One subtle trap during this phase is that your mind will try to drag you back into familiar chaos using very reasonable arguments. It will say things like, "This is delusional, you should lower your expectations. If you're not excited, you must not really want it. Maybe you need a new technique. Maybe the timing is off." These thoughts feel logical because they are built from your past data. Your brain is trying to reduce prediction error by shrinking your desire back into what it can already predict. If you believe these arguments and downgrade your identity, the system relaxes not because you did the right thing, but because you stopped stretching it. The relief you feel is not alignment, it is resignation. You accepted the old pattern as final again, so the nervous system no longer needs to reorganize around anything new. There is another layer here: calm versus excitement instability. Many people are addicted to the high of beginning a manifestation. New scripting, fresh journal, intense visualization sessions. That phase floods the nervous system with dopamine and novelty. When the calm comes and the novelty drops, they interpret the lower chemical buzz as "I lost it." So they jump to a new desire, a new technique, a new practitioner, just to keep feeling that high. From the perspective of the neural stabilization framework, this behavior keeps you locked forever in the first part of change. Constant initiating, never stabilizing. You accumulate spiritual experiences but little structural transformation. The calm before manifestation is the upgrade from chasing spiritual entertainment to allowing nervous system evolution. So what is actually happening right before a manifestation lands? The system reaches a threshold identity state. Enough circuits have been reorganized that your brain now predicts the new reality as more familiar than the old one. The new income, relationship, or level of peace no longer feels like an event. It feels like the obvious next step. This is why, when it arrives, you often hear yourself saying, "Of course this happened," or "It's weird how normal this feels." That sense of obviousness is not arrogance. It is the sign that neural reorganization completed. You are now the person for whom that outcome is congruent. The external shift is just the last visible piece of an internal process that has been unfolding quietly during the calm. This is also why you sometimes see nothing for a long time and then several manifestations cluster together. Your nervous system was holding multiple prediction errors at once: money, love, health, and reorganizing them in parallel. From the outside, it looked like stagnation. Inside, the system was running heavy background processing. When the internal identity finally crossed its threshold, multiple external realities snapped into alignment almost simultaneously. It was never nothing happening. It was a queue of updates installing. That is the calm before manifestation. Not emptiness, but a download bar you cannot see. Practically, what do you do in this phase? You stop introducing new variables. You keep your nervous system boringly consistent. You maintain the simple practices that got you here. Regulation, one or two aligned behaviors, one clean story about who you are becoming. You let yourself feel neutral without deciding that neutral means failure. When doubt comes up, you treat it as a symptom of reorganization, not as a prophecy of doom. You remind yourself, my nervous system is catching up to what I already chose. You do not dig up the seed to check the roots. You water, you let light in, and you allow time to do the part only time can do. Stop reacting. Stop measuring every tiny fluctuation. Let it stabilize. Let the nervous system integrate. If you recognize yourself in this calm, no big signs, less excitement, less obsession, just a quiet sense that something is shifting underneath, then you are not stuck, you are reorganizing. Your work now is not to push harder. It is to become stable enough to hold what you asked for. If you're in this phase, comment stabilizing, so your nervous system has one more proof that this is normal. And remember, this is only one phase inside the neural stabilization framework. The more you respect the calm, the more gently and powerfully the next phase will unfold. If this perspective expands your awareness, subscribe so you don't interrupt the next shift. The silence you are judging might be the exact recalibration you prayed for.